Look at this trophy. That is a beautiful trophy. I wonder what she won this in. Baseball, basketball. No, Bailey's yearbook. Let's see what Bailey was voted most likely to do. All right, we've got, oh, here she is, side ponytail and all. Bailey, most likely to apologize. Miss Flapper, what was Bailey like as a student? Oh, cry. Like, cry.
Well, you know, when I wanted to hang out like friends usually do, like, you know, go to the mall or go to the pool or go rollerblading, guess what? She wanted to stay in. Really?
Watch.
Thank you, everybody. You are watching Too Late to Sleep. And yeah, that was a thing on Raw. This is your life, Bayley. That was a thing. That's how they wanted to promote the kendo stick on a pole match. Seems to be pretty universally despised. I was not a fan. I felt bad for Alexa because there was no parachute cord to pull. It was just going to keep going no matter what, and there was no way to fix it. She had props, she had other people she had to involve. It was what it was. But hopefully the match is going to be better. Hopefully the match will wipe the taste of that out, and we'll talk more about Extreme Rules in a minute. Not a whole lot to go on this week. They announced the first ever Money in the Bank match for the Women's Championship on SmackDown. That will be at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up. That to go along with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, of course. I liked the way that they put it together with the 5-person number one contenders match, kind of like what they're doing at Extreme Rules for the men. But then the match just doesn't start because they're so intent on killing each other that they just destroy the crap out of each other. I really liked the way it was done. It gave a good kayfabe reason for Shane McMahon to come out and take the action to say, no, we're going to do it this way instead. We're just going to put you in a ladder match, no rules. Y'all just beat each other up, and somebody that won't become number one contender. Somebody will just get a title shot whenever they want. It does leave open that they still haven't decided number one contender, because whoever wins the briefcase isn't necessarily the number one contender. They're going to use that briefcase whenever they want, and if it's a heel, it's probably just going to be a spontaneous cash-in. You know, it's not like they're going to schedule a match. That's only happened, twice? Rob Van Dam and John Cena. I think everybody else has done it on the spur of the moment. So, we'll see how they handle that. Best of the Super Juniors, we went into the finals with a complete tie in one of the blocks. It was some really interesting booking that everybody had 6 points going into the end. Then they had half the block take on the other half of the block for their last scheduled matches, and Kushida ended up taking first place in his division because of who he had beaten in the past. So the finals probably will have already taken place by the time you watch this, but they're going to be Kushida versus Will Ospreay Jr. Should be a hell of a match. The story there is probably Kushida getting his rematch against Hiromu Takahashi. They've been working that a little bit. I don't want to see that match, honestly. I'd much rather it be Will Ospreay, but I think that the safer money is on Kushida winning. Then we got Wrestle Circus. Just doesn't know what they're doing anymore. I am a fan of Wrestle Circus. They're not the best indie out there, but I have gone out of my way to try and bring them a little bit more attention. When they did the publicity stunt with Squared Circle being the Sideshow champions, I did a promo about defending the title. You know, they asked for people to participate, so I did that. Nothing ever came of that. When they put out the code for the free month of the Wrestle Circus VOD, I put that on the show. Not that many people watch, but I did that because I want you guys to know about this stuff. I will, depending on what is in the box, I may be doing an unboxing of their Smart Box. I haven't done many unboxing videos because the boxes I've been getting really have kind of been underwhelming. You can see this Demolition shirt that I'm wearing from the last PWT's Pro Wrestling crate. It was an okay crate. Here's a Red Dragon stress ball. Did you know that Red Dragon has a Red Dragon mascot? I didn't, but this is apparently what it looks like. Anyway, Wrestle Circus doesn't seem to know what they're doing. They feel that they have outgrown their current venue and they are looking to get into a new building. It was brought up, why don't you do crowdsourcing? And they said, hey, well, we'll probably end up doing that. So they launch an Indiegogo page, and within hours they take it down because they felt like they were being accused of being beggars, even though they were offering rewards like every other crowdsourcing thing out there. You know, things ranging from the standard thank yous for the $1, $5, to having your name on the wall for higher levels, to actual sponsorships, to getting into the training school that they are going to be running. They were offering actual rewards that were on par with what you see in these things, and apparently a couple people complained and their feelings were hurt, so they stopped the crowdsourcing, which I'm a little irritated with. I was waiting for payday to donate, and they didn't even make it 20 hours. So I don't know what they're doing. It comes off as desperate. It comes off as a lack of planning. And it is definitely making me much more cautious in my cautious optimism about Wrestle Circus's future. The final thing we've got for you this weekend is the Extreme Rules preview. We talked a little bit about the Alexa Bliss versus Bayley rematch. The thing that interests me is they are going a little bit heavier on this than in past on a pole matches, that the person who grabs the kendo stick is legally allowed to use it, implying that if Bayley grabs the kendo stick and Alexa takes it from her and uses it, she would be disqualified. Are they going to do that? It's really hard to tell. But that's the way the rules as they are presented say what would happen. So I'm a little curious if that match doesn't end up in a disqualification, which would be really weird for Extreme Rules. But this is a weird Extreme Rules. Case in point, the Intercontinental Championship between Dean Ambrose and challenger The Miz, where on Extreme Rules, the championship can change hands on a disqualification. It would not be the first time that a championship has changed hands on that stipulation. Christian famously won the World Championship from Randy Orton after he baited Randy Orton into a nut kick. So for The Miz to win the Intercontinental Championship that way would not be unprecedented. I'm hoping that doesn't happen just because I want to see Dean Ambrose move on to a different feud. I did not like how both these guys moved over from SmackDown to Raw and immediately started feuding with each other again, when the whole point of the Superstar shakeup is to get people into new, different feuds that we haven't seen in a while, when they spent so much of last year feuding over the Intercontinental Championship. And I just know that if The Miz wins, Dean Ambrose is going to get his rematch, and it's probably going to go until SummerSlam. That's probably what's going to happen, but I'm really holding out hope that it's not. I really hope that's not the case. There was, when I was making this list, a place on the WWE.com preview of the show for R-Truth versus Goldust, but when I went looking for the images to run with this show, it was no longer up there. So I do not know at the point of this recording whether or not that is going to be an official match. I would not be surprised to see it put back on the kickoff show, because without it, we only have 6 matches for the pay-per-view when usually there are 8, including the kickoff. So honestly, I don't know what they're doing with that. Both talents are very old, and they are better off working with younger talent, helping them develop the skills that they've had for all these years. I don't think either one of them has a championship reign in front of them. I don't think they should, as talented as they both are. There's just a little bit too much liability there with all the miles on their engines. But I would love to see this be a one-off feud for them to finish whatever they're doing, which probably means Goldust has to have a decisive win, and for them to move on and work with newer talent. So fingers crossed there. We've got Rich Swann and Sasha Banks versus Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. That is going to be interesting to me, mostly because not only is it the first time I can think of on a pay-per-view that developmental wrestlers are going to be intermingling in the same match with main roster wrestlers, at least since Cesaro versus Sami Zayn at the first TakeOver. But it's also the question as to, do they change the ring ropes for the men to purple, or do they leave them raw red for the women? What do you think? As far as this match, I don't see this feud lasting very long, just because it is an intermingling of developmental and main roster wrestlers. I think that Rich Swann and Sasha Banks are going to win it, and I think that this is just going to end as far as Sasha being involved in that whole thing. Rich Swann will probably continue to feud with Noam Dar, but without the women being involved as directly as they are now. We've got the Cruiserweight title match, Neville versus Aries. It is a submission match. Neville has been getting the better of the feud leading up to this. He's gotten 2 submission losses, or disqualification losses, where he kept the title. This is going to be no disqualification. Match can only end on a submission. I would love to see Aries with the victory, but if that happens, then they stretch this feud out longer, and the feud kind of needs to end. I think that Neville is going to win it and walk away, move on to his next feud. I would actually love to see him reignite the feud with Gentleman Jack Gallagher. I think Gallagher is ready for a bit fuller feud than he was the last time when it was just a one-off. And then I would love to see them transition somebody else in. Maybe put the belt on Gallagher at the next show and bring in a new heel challenger. And I'd love to see Aries working with somebody a little bit newer and a little bit greener that needs the help a little bit more than TJP does. Because Neville clearly doesn't. Neville's a graduate of the developmental system already. Then we've got the Tag Team Championship match, the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro in the Steel Cage match. The Steel Cage was an interesting stipulation for the Hardy Boys to choose, particularly because they've already won a match involving Sheamus and Cesaro that was a ladder match for the titles. And it's also the type of match that they are most known for. We have not heard that I've seen why the Hardys went with a steel cage instead of a ladder match, but it should be interesting. I am hoping to see the heels win this. Hardys are going to get a great response whether they have the belts or not. I think they needed to win it at WrestleMania because of what the situation was, but I think we can afford to take the belts off of them now, and I think Sheamus and Cesaro would do better as the champions at this point. We've got the Women's Championship match. We talked about that. We've got the IC title match. We talked about that. That leaves the number 1 contendership. That is the Extreme Rules Fatal 5-Way, which does not appear to be an elimination match. It appears to be a first fall to a finish, which would always be a no disqualification match, whether they call it Extreme Rules or not. You got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Samoa Joe. Hard to pick a winner there. Obviously, we saw last week where Paul Heyman was just gushing over Finn Balor. But before Braun Strowman got injured, it really looked like we had three separate feuds there. We had Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, and that they were going to be going for the number one contender spot between those two. Then we had Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. Then we had Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, hoping that they were going to finish what they were doing. Now, with Braun Strowman out, you can't have the number one contender match between Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. So what I am thinking happened is those three matches got pushed into one so that Roman Reigns could get the number one contendership and go on to face the champion at the next show or SummerSlam. I don't even know if it's going to be Great Balls of Fire or SummerSlam where he's going to get this match against Lesnar. But that's what I'm expecting to have happen. I expect Finn Balor to look like he's about to win it and get screwed over by Bray Wyatt, because I don't believe that they want to just abandon that story. Whatever they were going to do with that, I think they're going to come back to after this, and they're going to go forward with Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. Have a nice demon versus demon story heading into SummerSlam. There's a lot of potential there, especially if they let Bray Wyatt get some big wins on TV leading up to it. And I don't know what is going on with Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, and at this point I'm kind of running out of concern for it. It's been going on too long. WrestleMania is over. It's been over. He got his revenge against Triple H. He doesn't need to keep facing Triple H's stooge. It's not working for me. But there you go. That's what I'm looking for to happen at Extreme Rules. Leave me your ideas of what you think is going to happen in the comments, or hit me up at Reddit Country Club Too Late to Sleep thread every Friday when this show goes live. You've got the thread there to talk about what's going on in wrestling in the week. Y'all, I really appreciate you checking this out. As always, we're going to have the videos coming up. We're going to have the subscribe button. Got a little song. This is EC3 and Scott Steiner's theme song mixed together. I love you, Trampies. Cheers.